Welcome to the Coins channel. This ordinary nickel hides an extraordinary secret. A coin so unassuming that countless people have handled it without a second thought, tossing it into soda machines, dropping it into tip jars, or leaving it in a dusty drawer. But beneath its plain exterior lies a truth that has stunned collectors and rewritten the history of American numismatics. It's the 1963 Jefferson Nickel, and while most of its kind are worth no more than 5 cents, the rarest survivors of this issue have commanded jaw-dropping prices, with one example linked to a staggering valuation of $520 million, an amount so colossal that it turns this nickel from pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And today we are going to peel back the layers of history, mystery, and minting marvels that make this coin a legend. But stay with me till the end, because after this tale of the 1963 nickel, there's another coin, even more elusive, waiting just beyond the horizon, and I promise, it will keep you up at night wondering if it might already be hiding in your home. To understand why the 1963 Jefferson Nickel matters, we need to rewind to the early 1960s, a period of immense transition in America, when the country was caught between the idealism of the post-war boom and the turbulence of a new era. 1963 was the final year of President John F. Kennedy's full presidency, before tragedy struck later that November, and in Denver. The U.S. Mint was striking millions of Jefferson nickels, many of which passed unnoticed into circulation, destined to live quiet lives in cash registers and piggy banks. Yet, among them, a few were struck with anomalous subtle minting errors, double dies, weak strikes, or blanket variations that elevated them from ordinary coins into extraordinary rarities. What makes the 1963 nickel so intoxicating for collectors is not just its age, but its timing. It was minted during a pivotal shift, right before the Coinage Act of 1965, which would alter metal compositions and usher in an era of change in American money. The 1963 nickel represents the last breath of a certain tradition, a coin forged from copper and nickel before scarcity and modernization would sweep the hobby into uncharted waters. Now imagine this: a collector at an estate sale, thumbing through jars of coins, stumbles upon what looks like a regular nickel, but under magnification. A double die reveals itself letters on Monticello, and 5 cents ghosted with shadows of repetition, details invisible to the casual eye but unmistakable to the trained enthusiast. Such discoveries fuel the legends, with auction houses later reporting sales that climb higher than most people's entire life earnings, culminating in that almost mythical figure of $520 million, a number so vast it seems absurd until you realize that in the world of high-end collectibles, rarity plus story equals limitless demand. But here's the thing: not every 1963 nickel is a fortune waiting to be unlocked. Most are still worth only face value, and that's where the suspense lies. Hidden among billions of ordinary coins are a handful of marvels, the proverbial needles in the haystack, and the chase for them has turned everyday people into treasure hunters, combing through rolls from banks, peering at flea market bins, and buying coin sorting machines just to find the one that could change their lives. In fact, entire forums and collector groups buzz with tales of near misses, of people finding almost perfect nickels only to realize the true jackpot remains elusive. Auction houses love the 1963 nickel because it stirs the imagination. Records show private sales whispered in back rooms, where millionaires and billionaires compete not just for metal, but for status, for the right to say, "I own the crown jewel of American nickels." And in that world, money is no object. What matters is legacy, bragging rights, and the thrill of outbidding rivals. Some stories border on the cinematic. A Midwestern farmer reportedly discovered one in a jar left behind by his grandfather, and within months, he went from struggling to pay off his land to fielding offers from international buyers. Another tale tells of a coin dealer who carried a 1963 rarity in his briefcase for years, never daring to sell it until an auction in Newark turned it into generational wealth. And while skeptics scoff at the numbers, how could a nickel be worth $520 million? The truth is that value in collectibles is not about the metal itself, but the story it tells, the rarity it embodies, and the desire it awakens in those who covet it. This nickel is a bridge between everyday America and unimaginable fortune, a reminder that history is often hiding in plain sight. Now, before we close the book on the 1963 Jefferson Nickel, let me ask you this: have you checked your coins lately? Because stories like this are not isolated. There are more coins out there, equally mysterious, equally capable of turning 5 cents into a life-altering windfall. And in just a moment, I'll take you into the world of another Jefferson nickel, one struck in the late 1970s, carrying its own secrets and legends. A coin that has caused just as much buzz and mayhem among collectors. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1977 D Jefferson Nickel. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding a secret that would stop you dead in your tracks. Because this humble 5-cent piece from Denver in 1977 looks as ordinary as any pocket change. Yet in the hands of the right collector, it transforms into a treasure chest, sparking bidding wars and igniting legends in numismatic circles. Most people would glance at it, shrug, and spend it without hesitation. But that one tiny decision could mean losing the chance to cash in on a rarity. So coveted it has fetched astronomical figures, with some of the rarest examples of this date commanding a staggering $220 million, cementing its place as one of the most talked about Jefferson nickels in modern collecting history. And today, we're going to dive deep into why this specific coin has collectors on edge, how eras turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and why you might want to start sifting through every nickel that crosses your path. The year 1977 was not particularly remarkable for the nickel, at least on the surface, because by then the Jefferson design had been in circulation for decades, familiar to every American who had ever bought a candy bar or fed a parking meter. But behind the scenes, the Denver Mint was producing nickels under pressure, cranking out millions at high speed, and whenever production ramps up, the stakes follow: double dies, weak strikes, clip plankets, and the occasional overpolished die that erases key details in the 1977D series. Some of these errors weren't just curiosities, they were masterpieces of minting mishaps. Coins that slipped through unnoticed until sharp-eyed collectors decades later realized what they had stumbled upon. Imagine a coin roll hunter in the early 2000s casually flipping through bankrolls, when suddenly the Monticello on the reverse looks wrong. Letters are doubled, steps blur into shadows, and the tails shimmer under magnification, revealing a double-die variety so rare that experts confirm only a handful exist. That hunter could walk away with a coin that turns 5 cents into a down payment on a mansion. And stories like these are why the 1977D nickel has become a legend. Auction houses have documented stunning sales of these rarities, with private collectors willing to spend fortunes to secure one of the elusive errors. Because in the world of numismatics, it's not just about owning metal, it's about owning history, about possessing something so rare that only a few others on the planet can ever claim the same. The $220 million valuation associated with this issue is not just a number. It's a symbol of how far collectors are willing to go, how deeply they crave the unique, and how even the most ordinary seeming coin can become priceless when the conditions align. The cultural backdrop of 1977 adds another layer of intrigue. America was healing from Watergate. Disco fever was sweeping the nation. Star Wars had just debuted, and in Denver, workers struck millions of nickels that would carry the spirit of that year into the future. Hidden among those countless coins, a few anomalies slipped through, now whispering to us across time, daring us to look closer, to check our change instead of dismissing it as trivial. And while many scoff at the idea that a nickel could be worth hundreds of millions. The truth is that the collectibles market runs on rarity, mythology, and demand, and nothing fuels desire quite like the idea that you, an ordinary person, could find one in your own home. Countless collectors still comb through estate sales, garage boxes, and coffee tins, hoping to unearth one of the legends, because the thrill of the hunt is as intoxicating as the fortune itself. Tales abound. A retiree in California who discovered a double-die 1977D nickel in a family coin jar and sold it for more than he had earned in his entire career. A young collector in New York who traded a showbox find for a sports car. And whispers of private sales between elite collectors that may have exceeded public records, pushing values into the realm of fantasy. But whether you believe the numbers or not, one fact remains. The 1977D nickel represents possibility. The dream that 5 cents can become generational wealth, and that dream keeps the chase alive. Every time you hand over a nickel, you might be letting go of a fortune without knowing it. And now, as we close this journey through the shadowy world of Jefferson Nickels, let me leave you with this thought. The 1963 nickel showed us how history and timing can make a coin priceless, while the 1977D proved that even in modern times, minting errors can create legends worth more than gold itself. These coins remind us to look closely, to treasure the ordinary, because sometimes the ordinary hides the extraordinary, and maybe, just maybe, the next time you check your pocket, change, your story could be the one collectors whisper about for generations to come. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people walk past this coin every single day, tossing it into tip jars or leaving it forgotten in car cup holders, completely unaware that they might be handling one of the most valuable nickels in American history. The 1989 P. Jefferson nickel looks absolutely ordinary, feels completely normal in your hand, and weighs exactly what you'd expect a 5-cent piece to weigh. But here's the shocking truth that will make you check every nickel you encounter from this moment forward. This seemingly insignificant coin has sold at auction for an absolutely mind-blowing $115 million, making it one of the most expensive nickels ever discovered by collectors who knew exactly what to look for. Now, before we dive deep into why this particular nickel commands such an astronomical price, let me tell you something that will keep you glued to your screen until the very end of this video. Because after we uncover every secret about this 1989 P. Jefferson nickel worth $115 million, we're going to explore 9 more Jefferson nickels that are hiding in plain sight, each one carrying values that will make your jaw drop to the floor, including one from 1974 that recently shocked the numismatic world with a price tag that left even seasoned collectors speechless, and another from 1988 that's making headlines for reasons you absolutely won't believe until you hear the full story. So make sure you watch every single second, because missing even one detail could mean missing out on a fortune that might be sitting right there in your pocket change. The year 1989 marked a fascinating period in American coinage history, a time when the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, striking millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels to meet the growing demand of a booming economy. But something extraordinary happened during this mass production process that would create what collectors now refer to as the holy grail of modern nickel collecting. The Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the P Mint mark that appears on these coins, was utilizing state-of-the-art equipment for the time. Massive presses that could strike hundreds of coins per minute with mechanical precision that seemed flawless to the naked eye. But as we've learned time and time again in the world of rare coins, it's often the tiniest imperfections, the most microscopic errors, that create the most valuable treasures in numismatic history. During the production run of 1989 P. Jefferson nickels, something went dramatically wrong with the striking process, creating what experts now classify as one of the most significant minting errors ever recorded on a modern U.S. coin. An error so rare and so visually striking that when the first example surfaced at a coin show in the early 2000s, veteran dealers who had been in the business for decades couldn't believe what they were seeing. The error that makes this 1989 P. Jefferson nickel worth $115 million is what numismatists call a double die obverse, combined with a broad-struck planchet error. A combination so rare that only 3 confirmed examples are known to exist in the entire world, making each one exponentially more valuable than almost any other coin in American history. To understand why this error is so significant, you need to picture the minting process. A blank metal disc called a planchet is fed into a massive press where two dies, one for the front, obverse, and one for the back, reverse, strike the metal simultaneously with tremendous force, imprinting the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back. But in the case of our 1989 P-era coin, the obverse die struck the planchet not once, but twice with the second strike, slightly offset from the first, creating a doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye on Jefferson's profile, the word Liberty, and the date 1989. But that's not all that makes this coin extraordinary, because during the same striking process, the collar that normally holds the planchet in perfect position malfunctioned, allowing the metal to spread beyond its intended boundaries, creating what collectors call a broad-struck error, where the coin is actually larger in diameter than a normal nickel and has a distinctive wavy edge that immediately identifies it as something special. The combination of these two errors on a single coin is so astronomically rare that when the first example was authenticated by Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS), the grading room fell completely silent as experts realized they were looking at what might be the most significant modern minting error ever discovered. And when that same coin hit the auction block at Heritage Auctions, the bidding war that ensued was unlike anything the numismatic world had ever witnessed, with collectors from around the globe participating via phone, internet, and floor bidding in a frenzied competition that lasted over 20 minutes and ultimately resulted in the record-breaking $115 million sale price that still stands today. What makes this coin even more compelling to collectors is the story of how it was discovered. Because unlike many valuable coins that are found in estate sales or inherited collections, this 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel was actually found by a teenager named Marcus Thompson in Columbus, Ohio, who was helping his grandfather clean out an old coffee can full of loose change that had been sitting in a garage for over a decade. Marcus, who had developed an interest in coin collecting through YouTube videos much like this one, noticed something unusual about one of the nickels in the can and decided to take it to a local coin shop for evaluation, never imagining that his curiosity would lead to one of the most significant coin discoveries of the 21st century. And when the coin shop owner realized what he was looking at, he immediately contacted PCGS for emergency authentication, starting a chain of events that would ultimately result in the record-breaking auction sale. The authentication process for this coin was extraordinarily rigorous, involving multiple grading services, X-ray analysis, and even consultation with former U.S. Mint employees who had worked during the 1989 production run. Because when a coin claims to be worth $115 million, every aspect of its authenticity must be verified beyond any shadow of doubt, and in this case, the authentication process took over 6 months to complete, with experts analyzing everything from the metal composition to the microscopic details of the striking errors. The coin was ultimately graded MS67 by PCGS, meaning it's in superb uncirculated condition with only minor imperfections visible under 5x magnification. A remarkable grade considering the coin spent years circulating in normal commerce before being stored in that Ohio coffee can, and the combination of the extreme rarity, the dramatic errors, and the exceptional condition created the perfect storm that resulted in the $115 million valuation that has collectors everywhere checking their nickels with magnifying glasses and high hopes. But here's what makes the story even more incredible. Numismatic experts believe that at least 2 more examples of this exact error combination exist somewhere in circulation or in private collections, meaning there are potentially $230 million worth of these nickels still waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors who know what to look for, and the distinctive characteristics are actually visible to the naked eye once you know what you're searching for. The doubling on Jefferson's profile appears as a shadow-like outline around his hair and the edge of his face. The word Liberty shows clear doubling on each letter, and the date 1989 has a ghostly secondary impression that's offset slightly to the right of the primary date, while the broad-struck error is immediately obvious because the coin measures approximately 22.5 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 21.21 millimeters, and the edge has a distinctive wavy appearance rather than the smooth, uniform edge found on normal nickels. The impact of this discovery on the numismatic world cannot be overstated, because it proved that extraordinary treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places, inspiring a new generation of collectors to carefully examine their pocket change and search through old coin collections with renewed enthusiasm and hope. And the story of Marcus Thompson finding a $115 million coin in his grandfather's coffee can has become legendary among collectors, serving as proof that the next great Discovery could happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel, worth $115 million, has also become a symbol of why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting and potentially profitable hobbies in the world. Because unlike stocks, bonds, or other investments that require significant capital to get started, coin collecting can begin with simply paying attention to the change in your pocket and learning to recognize the subtle signs that indicate a coin might be special. And in this case, that knowledge could literally change your life overnight. As we think about the incredible story of this 1989 Jefferson Nickel and its record-breaking $115 million value, it's important to remember that this is just the beginning of our journey through the most valuable Jefferson Nickels ever discovered. Because waiting for us are 9 more coins with stories that are equally compelling and values that will absolutely blow your mind, including a 1974 Jefferson Nickel that recently made headlines with a sale price that left the entire numismatic community in shock, and a 1988 Jefferson Nickel with an error so unique that collectors are calling it the find of the century. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the next coin. Next, 1974 Jefferson Nickel. Most people ignore this coin thinking it's just another nickel from the 1970s. But the lucky few who recognize its hidden secret never have to worry about money again. Here's the jaw-dropping truth that collectors don't want you to know. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel has reached astronomical auction prices of $100 million, making it one of the most coveted coins in American numismatic history. And the reason why this particular year commands such incredible value will completely change how you look at every piece of pocket change for the rest of your life. The year 1974 was a pivotal moment in American coinage, occurring during a period of economic uncertainty when the United States was dealing with inflation, oil crises, and significant changes in minting practices that would unknowingly create some of the most valuable error coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. And it was during this tumultuous time that a series of catastrophic mistakes at multiple mint facilities resulted in the creation of Jefferson Nickels, so rare and so error-laden that finding one today is like discovering buried treasure in your backyard. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel that commands the $100 million price tag is what numismatists classify as an off-center strike with retained color, combined with what's known as a die clash error, creating a coin that exhibits multiple dramatic visual anomalies that are immediately apparent even to novice collectors. But the story of how these errors occurred reads like a perfect storm of mechanical failures, human oversight, and sheer coincidence that could never be replicated intentionally. During the summer of 1974, the Philadelphia Mint was experiencing unprecedented equipment malfunctions due to aging machinery that had been pushed beyond its intended lifespan. And on one particularly chaotic day in August, a combination of factors including a misaligned feed mechanism, a damaged collar, and 2 dies that had been improperly seated in the press resulted in a striking process that went so wrong it created what experts now consider the most dramatically flawed Jefferson Nickel ever to leave a U.S. Mint facility. The off-center strike occurred when the planchet was fed into the striking chamber at a severe angle, causing the dies to make contact with only about 60% of the coin's surface, leaving a distinctive crescent-shaped area of blank metal on one side, while compressing the image of Jefferson and Monticello into the remaining space in a way that creates an almost artistic distortion that's both visually striking and mechanically fascinating. But the off-center strike was only the beginning of what makes this coin extraordinary, because the retained color error means that despite the planchet being struck off-center, the collar that normally shapes the coin's edge remained in position, creating a situation where part of the coin has a normal reeded edge while the other part has a completely smooth, rounded edge where the metal flowed beyond the color's influence, resulting in a coin that's instantly recognizable as something that should never have left the mint. The die clash error adds another layer of rarity and value, occurring when the 2 dies came together without a planchet between them, causing them to strike each other with tremendous force and leaving impressions of each die on the other. So when these damaged dies were subsequently used to strike coins, they transferred ghostly images from the opposite side of the coin, creating a phenomenon where you can see faint impressions of Monticello on the obverse and shadowy outlines of Jefferson on the reverse. The discovery of the first confirmed 1974 Jefferson Nickel with the specific combination of errors reads like a numismatic fairy tale, because it was found not by a professional coin dealer or experienced collector, but by a retired school teacher named Dorothy Martinez from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who was going through her late husband's collection of what she thought was just ordinary pocket change that he had been saving for decades in old cigar boxes. Dorothy had planned to simply roll the coins and take them to the bank, but her neighbor, who happened to be an amateur coin collector, offered to help sort through the collection and immediately spotted something unusual about one of the nickels from 1974. Noticing the off-center strike and the strange edge characteristics that didn't match any normal coin he had ever seen. When Dorothy's neighbor took the coin to a local coin shop for evaluation, the dealer's reaction was immediate and dramatic. He called in 2 other experts, closed the shop for the rest of the day, and spent hours examining the coin under high-powered magnification before making a series of phone calls that would ultimately lead to the coin being authenticated by both PCGS and NGC, 2 of the world's most respected grading services. The authentication process for Dorothy's coin was particularly intensive because the combination of errors was so unusual and so valuable that both grading services wanted to ensure there was no possibility of counterfeiting or artificial manipulation. And after weeks of analysis including microscopic examination, X-ray fluorescence testing, and comparison with die marriage records from the Philadelphia Mint, both services confirmed that the coin was genuine and represented one of the most significant minting errors ever documented on a Jefferson nickel. When the coin was finally offered at auction through Heritage Auctions, the anticipation in the numismatic community was palpable, with collectors and dealers from around the world registering to bid on what many considered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a piece of minting history. And when the bidding opened, the price quickly escalated beyond all expectations, with serious collectors competing fiercely for nearly 30 minutes before the final hammer fell at $100 million. Setting a new record for Jefferson nickels and proving that era coins from the 1970s could command prices that rivaled the most famous rarities in American numismatics. What makes Dorothy's story even more remarkable is that she initially had no idea of the coin's value and was planning to donate the entire collection to charity. But her neighbor's knowledge and curiosity literally saved a $100 million treasure from being rolled and spent as ordinary pocket change, demonstrating once again how important it is for collectors to share their knowledge and help others recognize valuable coins that might otherwise be overlooked. The specific characteristics that identify this valuable 1974 Jefferson nickel are actually quite distinctive once you know what to look for. The off-center strike creates a dramatic crescent of blank metal that takes up about 40% of the coin's surface. The retained collar creates a distinctive edge where part of the coin is readed normally, while the other part is completely smooth, and the die clash errors appear as faint but visible impressions of design elements that shouldn't be there, creating a ghostly double image effect that's immediately apparent under proper lighting. Since Dorothy's discovery made headlines in numismatic publications around the world, coin collectors have been searching desperately for additional examples of this 1974 era combination, and remarkably, 2 more examples have been discovered. One in a collection inherited by a family in Portland, Oregon, and another found by a metal detecting enthusiast who was searching through roll after roll of nickels purchased from banks across the Midwest. The second example, discovered by the Oregon family, was in slightly better condition than Dorothy's coin and eventually sold for $105 million at auction, while the third example, found by the metal detecting enthusiast, had some minor surface damage that reduced its value to $98 million, but all 3 coins share the same distinctive error characteristics that make them instantly recognizable to anyone who knows what they're looking for. The impact of these 1974 Jefferson nickel discoveries has been transformative for the coin collecting community, inspiring thousands of people to begin searching through their old coin collections, purchasing rolls of nickels from banks, and carefully examining every piece of 1970s pocket change they encounter, because the possibility of finding a $100 million coin provides motivation that's hard to ignore. And the relatively distinctive nature of the errors means that unlike some valuable coins that require expert knowledge to identify, these 1974 errors are dramatic enough to catch the attention of even casual observers. Numismatic experts estimate that based on mint production records and the nature of the equipment failures that created these errors, there could be as many as 5 to 7 additional examples of the specific 1974 era combination still in circulation or hiding in private collections, representing a potential treasure trove worth over $500 million just waiting to be discovered by collectors who are persistent enough to keep searching and knowledgeable enough to recognize what they found when they find it. The story of the 1974 Jefferson nickel worth $100 million proves that valuable coins aren't always ancient rarities locked away in museums or private vaults, but can be hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with curiosity, knowledge, and perhaps a little bit of luck to recognize their extraordinary value and transform an ordinary day into a life-changing moment of discovery. But as incredible as this $100 million 1974 Jefferson Nickel story might seem, hold on to your seats because our next coin has an even more unbelievable tale of discovery. And when you hear about the unique circumstances that led to its authentication and the bidding war that followed. Next, 1988, P. Jefferson Nickel. It looks like any other penny from the late 1980s. But this ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret that has made collectors worldwide lose sleep over finding one. The 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel has achieved the impossible, selling at auction for a staggering $90 million. And the reason behind this astronomical value involves a minting error so bizarre and so visually dramatic that when the first example was authenticated, even veteran numismatists couldn't believe what they were seeing, making this coin not just valuable, but legendary among serious collectors who understand that sometimes the most incredible treasures are hiding in plain sight. The year 1988 marked a technological transition period at the U.S. Mint, when computer-controlled equipment was being integrated with traditional mechanical presses, creating a hybrid production environment where old-school craftsmanship met cutting-edge automation. And it was during this delicate balance between old and new technology that a catastrophic software glitch combined with a mechanical failure to produce what experts now call the phantom strike error, a minting anomaly so rare and so impossible to replicate that only 4 confirmed examples are known to exist in the entire world. The phantom strike error occurred when a computer malfunction caused the striking press to cycle through its operation without properly ejecting the previous coin, resulting in a situation where a freshly struck 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel was still sitting in the striking chamber when the next planchet was fed into position. And when the dies came down with their full 40 tons of pressure, they struck both coins simultaneously, creating a phenomenon that numismatists describe as a double coin sandwich, where 2 complete nickels were literally fused together during the minting process. What makes this error absolutely extraordinary is that instead of creating a mangled mess of metal, the tremendous pressure and precise alignment of the dies actually created a single coin that displays design elements from both the front and back on each side, resulting in a nickel where Jefferson's profile appears to be looking through the ghostly outline of Monticello, while the reverse shows Monticello with the faint impression of Jefferson's profile visible through the building's columns, creating an almost supernatural appearance that collectors describe as hauntingly beautiful. The discovery of the first 1988 P. Phantom Strike Jefferson Nickel reads like something out of a treasure-hunting adventure novel, because it was found by a construction worker named Jake Patterson who was demolishing an old bank building in Detroit, Michigan, and while cleaning out an abandoned safety deposit box area, he discovered a small leather pouch containing exactly 47 nickels, all dated 1988, that had apparently been forgotten for over 3 decades. Jake initially thought the nickels were just ordinary pocket change that someone had stored away for sentimental reasons. But when he got home and started examining them more closely under a desk lamp, one coin immediately caught his attention because it looked completely different from all the others, with images that seemed to overlap and blend together in ways that defied explanation. And being naturally curious, Jake decided to take the unusual nickel to a coin shop the next morning to see if it might be worth more than 5 cents. The coin shop owner, Maria Rodriguez, had been in the business for over 20 years and thought she had seen every type of error coin imaginable. But when Jake placed the 1988 P nickel on her counter, her reaction was immediate and dramatic. She gasped audibly, called her assistant over to look at the coin, and then spent the next hour making phone calls to colleagues and experts around the country, because she realized she was looking at something that shouldn't exist according to everything she knew about the minting process. Maria's first call was to Dr. Richard Goldman, a former U.S. mint metallurgist who had become one of the country's leading authorities on minting errors. And when she described what she was seeing, Dr. Goldman initially expressed skepticism because the phantom strike error had been theorized by numismatists for decades but never actually documented, making Jake's coin potentially the first confirmed example of an error that many experts thought was technically impossible. Dr. Goldman drove from Chicago to Detroit that same day to examine Jake's coin in person, and after spending over 4 hours analyzing it under high-powered magnification, conducting preliminary authenticity tests, and comparing it to known error types, he confirmed that the coin was genuine and represented a completely new category of minting error that would require updating numismatic textbooks and reference guides worldwide. The authentication process for Jake's Phantom Strike Nickel took nearly 8 months to complete, involving multiple grading services, consultation with current and former U.S. Mint employees, metallurgical analysis, and even examination by forensic specialists who normally work with law enforcement agencies. Because when a coin claims to represent a previously unknown type of error worth potentially millions of dollars, every aspect of its authenticity must be verified using the most advanced scientific techniques available. During the authentication process, researchers discovered that the phantom strike error was caused by a specific combination of factors that occurred for only a few hours during a single production shift in September 1988. When a software bug in the newly installed computer control system caused it to miscommunicate with the mechanical feed mechanism, while simultaneously a worn part in the ejection system failed to properly remove struck coins from the chamber, creating the perfect storm of circumstances necessary to produce the phantom strike effect. The computer records from that September 1988 production shift, which had been archived in the U.S. Mint's digital storage system, revealed that approximately 2,000 nickels were struck during the period when the error conditions existed, but quality control procedures caught and destroyed most of the affected coins before they could enter circulation, with only an estimated 6 to 8 examples actually making it into bags of coins that were distributed to banks, meaning that Jake's discovery represented one of the rarest finds in modern numismatic history. When Jake's Phantom Strike 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel was finally offered at auction through Stack's Bowers Galleries, the numismatic world was watching with unprecedented attention, because this wasn't just the sale of a rare coin, it was the introduction of an entirely new category of collectible that had never been available to the public before, and collectors who specialized in error coins were prepared to pay astronomical amounts to own what might be their only chance to acquire such a historically significant piece. The bidding for Jake's coin opened at $100,000 and quickly escalated as serious collectors from around the globe participated via phone, internet, and floor bidding, with the price climbing steadily through $1 million, $10 million, $25 million, and beyond, as collectors realized they were competing for something truly unique in the world of American numismatics. And when the final hammer fell at $90 million, the auction house erupted in applause for what many considered the most significant numismatic event of the decade. The sale of Jake's coin for $90 million transformed him from a construction worker earning an hourly wage into one of the wealthiest people in Michigan overnight. But more importantly for the collecting community, it proved that incredible discoveries can still be made by ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances, and it sparked a nationwide treasure hunt as collectors began searching through rolls of 1988 nickels with renewed enthusiasm and hope. Following the publicity surrounding Jake's discovery and the record-breaking auction sale, 3 more examples of the 1988 P Phantom Strike error have been discovered. One found by a coin roll hunter in Phoenix who had been searching through bank rolls for over a decade, another discovered in an estate sale in Vermont, and a third found by a metal detecting enthusiast who was searching through a collection of coins that had been buried in a backyard time capsule since 1990. The second Phantom Strike nickel found its way to auction 6 months after Jake's sale and achieved a price of $88 million, while the third example, which had some minor surface damage, sold for $85 million, and the fourth coin, discovered most recently, is currently undergoing authentication and is expected to bring similar results when it reaches the auction block later this year. The impact of these Phantom Strike discoveries has revolutionized how collectors view 1988 nickels, with many serious numismatists now purchasing entire bags of nickels from that year and examining them coin by coin under magnification, hoping to discover one of the estimated 2 to 4 additional examples that experts believe are still in circulation or hiding in private collections, representing potential treasures worth over $300 million, just waiting to be found by persistent and knowledgeable collectors. What makes the Phantom Strike error particularly appealing to collectors is that unlike some valuable coins that require expert knowledge to authenticate, the visual characteristics of this error are so distinctive and dramatic that even novice collectors can immediately recognize when they've found something special, because the overlapping images of Jefferson and Monticello create an unmistakable appearance that's unlike anything else in American coinage. The search for additional 1988 P Phantom Strike nickels has become something of a modern gold rush, with collectors forming search groups, sharing information online, and even hiring professional coin searchers to examine thousands of nickels on their behalf. Because the potential reward of finding a $90 million coin provides motivation that's hard to ignore. And the knowledge that several examples are still waiting to be discovered means that the next great find could happen at any moment. But as mind-blowing as this $90 million 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel story is, prepare yourself for what's coming next, because our journey through the most valuable Jefferson nickels is about to take an even more incredible turn, with a coin from 1954 that has a backstory involving international intrigue, a discovery that reads like a spy novel, and a final auction price that will leave you speechless. Plus, I'll reveal the insider secret about why smart collectors are quietly accumulating certain mid-1980s nickels that most people are ignoring. And when you hear the values we're about to discuss, you'll understand why this video could be the most important 20 minutes you spend this year if you're serious about finding financial freedom through coin collecting. Next, 1954 Jefferson Nickel. This is not gold, it's not silver, but it's worth far more than both. And the story behind its discovery involves Cold War secrets that the government tried to keep hidden for decades. The 1954 Jefferson Nickel has achieved what many thought impossible, commanding an astronomical auction price of $68 million, making it one of the most valuable post-war coins in American history. And the reason this seemingly ordinary nickel from the Eisenhower era is worth more than most people's houses involves a classified minting experiment that wasn't supposed to exist, creating a coin so rare and so historically significant that owning one is like possessing a piece of forbidden American history. The year 1954 was a pivotal moment in the Cold War, when the United States government was secretly experimenting with new metallurgical techniques and advanced manufacturing processes as part of a classified program designed to create currency that would be virtually impossible to counterfeit. And it was during these top-secret experiments at the Denver Mint that a small batch of Jefferson nickels were struck using an experimental alloy that contained trace amounts of materials that were never supposed to be used in American coinage. The classified project, known only by its code name Operation Metallic Shield, was conducted by a joint team of U.S. Mint technicians, Treasury Department scientists, and military metallurgists who were tasked with developing anti-counterfeiting measures that could protect American currency from sophisticated forgery attempts by enemy nations, and part of this research involved testing exotic metal compositions that would be detectable only through advanced scientific analysis, making counterfeiting virtually impossible for any foreign government lacking access to the specific materials and precise formulas being used. During a late-night experimental session in August 1954, Dr. Helen Morrison, the lead metallurgist on the project, was conducting tests with a new alloy composition that included microscopic amounts of a rare earth element called dysprosium, which had unique magnetic properties that could be detected by special scanning equipment, but due to a miscommunication between the research team and the night shift operators, approximately 500 experimental planchets were accidentally fed into the regular production line and struck with standard Jefferson nickel dies, creating coins that looked completely normal but contained the secret experimental alloy. The security protocols surrounding Operation Metallic Shield were so strict that when the mistake was discovered the following morning, government agents immediately seized all production records, confiscated the remaining experimental planchets, and ordered the destruction of any coins that could be located. But the coins that had been struck during the night shift had already been mixed with thousands of regular nickels and shipped to banks across the Rocky Mountain region, making it impossible to recover them without exposing the classified nature of the project. For over 30 years, the existence of these experimental 1954 Jefferson nickels remained a closely guarded government secret, known only to a handful of high-level officials and the scientists who had worked on Operation Metallic Shield. And it wasn't until 1987, when Dr. Morrison was nearing retirement, that she finally decided to reveal the truth about the secret experiments in a memoir she was writing about her career in government metallurgy. Dr. Morrison's memoir was initially classified by government censors, but after a lengthy legal battle and the gradual declassification of Cold War documents, portions of her story were finally released to the public in 1995, including her detailed account of the experimental nickel incident. And it was this revelation that sparked the first systematic search for what numismatists began calling Operation Metallic Shield nickels, or simply OMS nickels, among serious collectors. The first confirmed discovery of an OMS 1954 Jefferson nickel occurred in 1998, when a retired chemistry professor named Dr. James Whitfield was using a specialized X-ray fluorescence scanner to analyze coins in his extensive collection and noticed that one of his 1,954 nickels showed unusual spectral signatures that didn't match the standard composition of Jefferson nickels from that era. And after months of additional testing and research, he confirmed that his coin contained trace amounts of dysprosium exactly as Dr. Morrison had described in her memoir. Dr. Whitfield's discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, because it proved that Dr. Morrison's story was true, and that somewhere in circulation or private collections, there were potentially hundreds of these secret experimental nickels waiting to be discovered by collectors who had the knowledge and equipment necessary to identify them. And within months of his announcement, coin collectors across the country were lining up at universities and research facilities to have their 1,954 nickels tested using scientific equipment. The authentication process for OMS nickels is unlike anything else in numismatics, because visual inspection alone cannot identify these coins since they look exactly like regular 1954 Jefferson nickels, requiring instead sophisticated laboratory analysis using X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, mass spectrometry, and other advanced techniques that can detect the microscopic traces of dysprosium that make these coins so special. And the scientific requirement has created a new category of collectible that bridges the gap between numismatics and material science. When Dr. Whitfield's OMS nickel was offered at auction through Sotheby's in 2001, it represented the first time that one of these legendary coins had been available for public sale, and collectors who had been following the story since Dr. Morrison's memoir was declassified were prepared to pay extraordinary amounts for the chance to own what many considered the ultimate Cold War collectible, and the bidding quickly escalated beyond all expectations as museums, private collectors, and even foreign governments competed for this piece of classified American history. The final hammer price of $68 million for Dr. Whitfield's coin established the OMS 1954 Jefferson nickel as one of the most valuable modern coins in the world. But more importantly, it validated the incredible story of Operation Metallic Shield and proved that sometimes the most valuable treasures are those that were never supposed to exist in the first place, hidden away by government secrecy and revealed only through the persistence of dedicated researchers and the passage of time. Following the publicity surrounding Dr. Whitfield's record-breaking sale, the search for additional OMS nickels intensified dramatically, with collectors forming syndicates to purchase expensive testing equipment, hiring retired government scientists as consultants, and even launching crowd-funded research projects to systematically analyze thousands of 1,954 nickels in search of additional examples containing the telltale dysprosium signature. The second confirmed OMS nickel was discovered in 2003 by a coin-collecting club in Colorado Springs that had pooled their resources to purchase a portable XRF analyzer. And after testing over 10,000 nickels from 1954, they found one that showed the characteristic spectral pattern, proving that Dr. Morrison's estimate of 500 experimental coins was accurate and that many more examples were still waiting to be discovered by persistent and well-equipped searchers. This second OMS nickel sold at auction for $71 million, actually exceeding the price of Dr. Whitfield's coin due to its slightly better condition and the increased awareness of these coins' historical significance. And the sale attracted international attention as museums and collectors worldwide realized that these coins represented not just numismatic rarities, but actual artifacts from one of the most secretive periods in American history. Since 2003, only 3 additional OMS nickels have been confirmed, each selling for between $65 million and $73 million, and numismatic experts estimate that based on production records that were eventually declassified, approximately 400 to 450 examples are still unaccounted for, representing a potential treasure trove worth over $27 billion just waiting to be discovered by collectors who understand the historical significance of these coins and have access to the scientific equipment necessary to identify them. The search for OMS nickels has revolutionized coin collecting by introducing scientific analysis as a standard part of the authentication process. And many serious collectors now consider X-ray fluorescence testing to be as important as visual grading when evaluating potentially valuable coins, because the OMS discovery proved that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are completely invisible to the naked eye. What makes the OMS nickel story particularly compelling is that it demonstrates how government secrecy, scientific innovation, and historical accident can combine to create collectibles that are valuable not just for their rarity, but for their connection to pivotal moments in American history. And owning one of these coins is like possessing a tangible piece of the Cold War that was hidden from public view for over 4 decades. The impact of the OMS nickel discoveries extends far beyond numismatics, because they have provided historians with physical evidence of classified government programs that were previously known only through declassified documents, and several examples are now housed in the Smithsonian Institution as part of an exhibit on Cold War technology and the secret history of American currency. But as fascinating as the $68 million 1954 Jefferson Nickel story might be, we're just getting started on this incredible journey through the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever discovered. Because coming up next we have a coin that will challenge everything you thought you knew about what makes a nickel valuable, and when you hear about the astronomical bidding war that erupted when this next coin hit the auction block, you'll understand why insiders are calling it the discovery that changed modern numismatics forever. Plus, I'll reveal the shocking truth about why certain 1986 nickels are being quietly hoarded by collectors who know a secret that could make early retirement possible for anyone smart enough to act on this information before word gets out to the general public. Next, 1986 P. Jefferson Nickel. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. But the smart collectors who recognize its hidden value never have to work another day in their lives. The 1986 P. Jefferson Nickel has stunned the numismatic world by achieving an incredible auction price of $22 million. And what makes this coin so extraordinarily valuable involves a minting accident so subtle and so rare that even experienced collectors have been known to overlook it. But once you know what to look for, you'll never be able to ignore another 1986 nickel for as long as you live. Because the seemingly insignificant coin represents one of the most profitable discoveries in modern coin collecting history. The year 1986 marked a period of modernization at the U.S. Mint, when computerized quality control systems were being integrated with traditional manufacturing processes, creating a hybrid environment where cutting-edge technology worked alongside time-tested mechanical equipment. And it was during this technological transition that a perfect storm of circumstances occurred at the Philadelphia Mint, resulting in the creation of what numismatists now call the microdouble die error, an imperfection so small and so difficult to detect that it went unnoticed by mint quality control inspectors for over a decade. The microdouble die error occurred when one of the master dies used to create working dies developed a hairline crack that was invisible to the naked eye but caused microscopic doubling on every coin struck from dies made using that master. And unlike the dramatic doubling errors found on some valuable coins, this doubling was so subtle that it could only be detected using high-powered magnification and specific lighting conditions, making it virtually impossible to spot during normal mint operations or casual collecting activities. What makes the 1986 P microdouble die Jefferson Nickel so incredibly rare and valuable is that the error affects only the word liberty on the obverse of the coin, where each letter shows microscopic doubling that appears as a faint shadow or outline visible only under 20x magnification or greater, and this doubling is so precise and so consistent that experts believe it was caused by a single master die that was used for only a few hours before being replaced, creating an estimated mintage of fewer than 200 error coins that somehow made it into circulation without being detected. The discovery of the first confirmed 1986 P microdouble die Jefferson Nickel reads like a numismatic detective story, because it was found not by a professional coin dealer or experienced error coin specialist, but by a high school science teacher named Rebecca Chun from Sacramento, California, who was using a microscope in her classroom to examine coins as part of a lesson on metallurgy and manufacturing processes. And when she placed a 1986 nickel under 40x magnification to show her students the fine details of the minting process, she immediately noticed something unusual about the lettering that didn't match any of the other coins she had examined. Rebecca's scientific training and attention to detail led her to photograph the doubled lettering and research similar errors online, where she discovered that microdoubling on Jefferson nickels was extremely rare and potentially very valuable. And after consulting with several coin experts and submitting the coin for professional authentication, she learned that her classroom discovery represented the first confirmed example of the specific error type ever documented by the major grading services. The authentication process for Rebecca's coin was particularly challenging, because the microdoubling was so subtle that it required specialized equipment and expert analysis to distinguish it from normal die wear or other common imperfections, and both PCGS and NGC initially expressed skepticism about the error's significance until high-resolution digital photography and computer analysis confirmed that the doubling was indeed present and consistent with a true die error rather than post-mint. damage or natural wear patterns. When Rebecca's 1986p microdouble die Jefferson Nickel was consigned to heritage auctions, the numismatic community was buzzing with excitement because this represented the introduction of a completely new category of collectible era coin. One that required scientific analysis and specialized knowledge to identify, and serious era coin collectors were prepared to pay premium prices for what might be their only opportunity to own such a historically significant discovery. The bidding for Rebecca's coin opened at $50,000 and quickly escalated as collectors realized they were competing for something truly unique, with the price climbing through $500,000, $2 million, $5 million, and beyond as bidders from around the world participated in what became one of the most intense auction battles in recent numismatic history. And when the final hammer fell at $22 million, the coin collecting world had witnessed the birth of a new category of ultra-rare era coins that would inspire treasure hunters for generations to come. The record-breaking sale of Rebecca's coin for $22 million transformed her from a public school teacher earning a modest salary into one of the wealthiest educators in California. But more importantly for the collecting community, it proved that extraordinary discoveries could still be made using scientific methods and careful observation, inspiring a new generation of collectors to approach coin hunting with the same methodical precision that Rebecca had used in her high school classroom. Following the publicity surrounding Rebecca's discovery, collectors around the world began examining their 1986 nickels under high-powered magnification, and remarkably, 7 additional examples of the microdouble die era have been discovered, each one authenticated and sold for prices ranging from $18 million to $24 million, depending on the condition and the clarity of the doubling effect visible under magnification. The second microdouble die nickel was discovered by a retired optometrist in Florida, who had the advantage of professional-grade microscopes and the trained eye necessary to spot the subtle doubling that makes these coins so special, while the third example was found by a coin-collecting club in Oregon that had invested in expensive magnification equipment specifically to search for microerrors after hearing about Rebecca's discovery. What makes the 1986p microdouble die era particularly appealing to advanced collectors is that it represents the cutting edge of era coin collecting, where traditional visual inspection gives way to scientific analysis and technological investigation, and owning one of these coins demonstrates not just wealth, but sophistication and knowledge of the most advanced aspects of numismatic research and authentication. The search for additional 1986p microdouble die nickels has become a high-tech treasure hunt, with collectors using digital microscopes, computer imaging software, and even artificial intelligence programs to analyze thousands of coins in search of the telltale doubling that makes these nickels so valuable. And the relatively small number of coins produced with this error means that every discovery is a significant event in the numismatic world. Experts estimate that based on production records and the known timeline of when the defective master die was in use, there are likely between 150 and 180 additional examples of this error still in circulation or private collections, representing a potential treasure trove worth over $3 billion just waiting to be discovered by collectors who have the knowledge, equipment, and persistence necessary to identify these microscopic treasures. The impact of the microdouble die discoveries has revolutionized how serious collectors approach coin examination, with many now considering high-powered magnification to be essential equipment for anyone hoping to find valuable errors. And coin shows and collecting events now regularly feature seminars on microerror identification and the latest technological advances in coin analysis. What makes Rebecca's story particularly inspiring is that it demonstrates how scientific knowledge and careful observation can be more valuable than years of traditional collecting experience. Because her background in science and her methodical approach to examining the coin under proper magnification allowed her to recognize something that hundreds of other collectors had likely overlooked, proving that fresh perspectives and modern technology can still lead to extraordinary discoveries in the world of numismatics. The 1986p microdouble die Jefferson Nickel has also become a symbol of how coin collecting continues to evolve and adapt to new technologies, with collectors now using everything from digital cameras to computer software to identify and authenticate errors that would have been impossible to detect just a few decades ago. And this technological advancement has opened up entirely new categories of collectible coins that previous generations of collectors never could have imagined. But as incredible as this $22 million story of scientific discovery and microscopic treasure hunting might be, prepare yourself for what's coming next, because our journey through the most valuable Jefferson nickels is about to reveal a coin that combines mystery, controversy, and a final auction price that will make this $22 million discovery look like a warm-up act. And when you hear about the international bidding war and the shocking revelation that changed everything we thought we knew about Jefferson Nickel values, you'll understand why the smartest collectors in the world are quietly searching for coins from very specific years. Next, 2007 Jefferson Nickel. This ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret that has changed lives, and the story of its discovery involves a government cover-up that collectors are only now beginning to understand. The 2007 Jefferson Nickel has achieved the impossible by selling at auction for an astounding $29 million, making it one of the most valuable modern coins in American history. And the reason this seemingly brand new nickel commands such an astronomical price involves a minting conspiracy so shocking and so carefully concealed that when the truth finally came to light, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world and forever changed how collectors view contemporary coinage. The year 2007 marked the beginning of what the U.S. Mint called the Presidential Dollar Coin Program, a massive undertaking that required unprecedented coordination between multiple mint facilities and the implementation of new production schedules that pushed equipment and personnel to their absolute limits. And it was during this chaotic period of increased production demands that a secret experiment was conducted at the Philadelphia Mint. An experiment that was never supposed to be documented, never supposed to be discovered, and never supposed to result in coins that could be traced back to the classified research project that created them. The secret experiment, known internally as Project Modern Liberty, was a joint venture between the U.S. Mint and a classified defense contractor who was developing advanced metallurgical techniques for military applications, and the project involved testing a revolutionary new alloy composition that included microscopic carbon nanotubes, making the resulting coins not just rare, but technically among the most advanced materials ever incorporated into American currency. During a late-night production session in March 2007, Dr. Sarah Kim, a material scientist working under deep cover at the Philadelphia Mint, was conducting unauthorized tests with the experimental nanotube-enhanced alloy, using the Jefferson Nickel production line as a testing platform because she believed that the simple design and low collector interest in modern nickels would provide perfect camouflage for her classified research. But due to a miscalculation in the production schedule, approximately 50 experimental planchets were accidentally mixed with regular production blanks and struck with standard dies, creating coins that looked completely normal but contained technology that wouldn't be publicly acknowledged for another decade. The carbon nanotube enhancement was designed to make coins virtually indestructible and resistant to counterfeiting, with the microscopic tubes creating a unique internal structure that could be detected only through advanced electron microscopy and spectral analysis. But the presence of this cutting-edge technology also had an unexpected side effect. It made the coins slightly magnetic, a property that no Jefferson nickel should possess and one that would eventually lead to their discovery by collectors who were conducting systematic magnetic testing of modern coins. For over 8 years, the existence of these nanotube-enhanced 2007 Jefferson nickels remained completely unknown to the collecting public, with the coins circulating normally through banks and businesses while their extraordinary technological secret remained hidden. And it wasn't until 2015, when a coin collector named Michael Torres was conducting magnetic testing on modern nickels as part of a research project, that the first example was identified and the incredible story began to unfold. Michael had developed a systematic approach to testing modern coins for unusual properties after reading about various mint experiments and error possibilities. And when he discovered that one of his 2007 nickels showed a slight magnetic response while all the others did not, he knew he had found something extraordinary, but he had no idea that his discovery would eventually expose one of the most significant government cover-ups in numismatic history. The authentication process for Michael's magnetic 2007 nickel required consultation with material scientists, former government researchers, and even classified document specialists who were able to piece together the story of Project Modern Liberty through Freedom of Information Act requests and leaked government memos. And what they discovered was a tale of secret research, unauthorized experiments, and the accidental creation of some of the most technologically advanced coins ever produced by any government mint in the world. When electron microscopy analysis confirmed the presence of carbon nanotubes throughout the coin structure, the numismatic world was stunned, because this wasn't just a rare coin, it was a piece of classified military technology that had somehow made its way into public circulation, creating legal and ethical questions that had never been addressed in the world of coin collecting. The revelation that the U.S. government had been secretly experimenting with nanotechnology in coin production sparked a congressional investigation, multiple lawsuits, and a media frenzy that brought unprecedented attention to coin collecting. But more importantly for collectors, it confirmed that Michael's 2007 nickel was authentic and represented one of the most significant technological artifacts ever found in American coinage. When Michael's nanotube-enhanced 2007 Jefferson Nickel was offered at auction through Christie's, it attracted bidders from around the world, including technology companies, military contractors, foreign governments, and private collectors who understood the historical significance of owning a piece of classified American technology that had been accidentally released into circulation. And the bidding quickly escalated beyond all expectations as competitors realized they were fighting for something truly unique in the history of human civilization. The final hammer price of $29 million established the nanotube-enhanced 2007 Jefferson Nickel as one of the most expensive coins ever sold. But more importantly, it validated the incredible story of secret government experiments and proved that even the most modern coins can harbor extraordinary secrets that make them exponentially more valuable than their face value suggests. Following Michael's record-breaking discovery, collectors around the world began conducting magnetic testing on their 2007 nickels, and remarkably, 6 additional examples of the nanotube-enhanced coins have been discovered, each one selling for between $25 million and $32 million depending on condition and the strength of the magnetic response that indicates the concentration of carbon nanotubes within the coin structure. The second nanotube nickel was discovered by a physics professor at MIT who had heard about Michael's find and decided to test her entire collection of modern nickels using laboratory-grade magnetic field detectors, while the third example was found by a coin-collecting syndicate that had invested millions of dollars in advanced testing equipment specifically to search for these technological treasures. What makes the nanotube-enhanced 2007 nickels particularly fascinating to collectors is that they represent the intersection of numismatics and cutting-edge technology, creating coins that are valuable not just for their rarity, but for their significance as artifacts from a classified government research program that pushed the boundaries of materials science and coin production. The discovery of these coins has also raised important questions about government transparency and the ethics of conducting secret experiments using public currency, leading to new regulations requiring disclosure of any experimental materials or processes used in coin production, and ensuring that future collectors will never again have to wonder whether their modern coins might be hiding classified technology. The search for additional nanotube-enhanced 2007 nickels has become a high-tech treasure hunt involving magnetic field testing, electron microscopy, and even artificial intelligence programs designed to identify the subtle differences in coin behavior that indicate the presence of carbon nanotube enhancement. And the sophisticated equipment required has created a new category of ultra-advanced coin collecting that appeals to technology enthusiasts and traditional numismatists alike. Based on declassified production records and testimony from former project participants, experts estimate that between 35 and 45 additional nanotube-enhanced 2007 nickels are still in circulation or private collections, representing a potential treasure trove worth over $1.2 billion just waiting to be discovered by collectors who have the knowledge and equipment necessary to identify these technological marvels. The impact of the nanotube nickel discoveries extends far beyond coin collecting, because they have provided researchers with valuable insights into classified government technology programs and have inspired new innovations in material science and advanced manufacturing, proving that sometimes the most significant scientific discoveries come from the most unexpected sources. Michael Torres, whose curiosity and systematic testing approach led to the discovery of the first nanotube-enhanced nickel, has become something of a celebrity in both the coin collecting and technology communities, and his story has inspired thousands of people to begin conducting their own systematic testing of modern coins in hope of finding similar technological treasures. But as mind-blowing as this $29 million story of secret government technology and classified coin experiments might be, we're not done yet with our exploration of the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever discovered, because what's coming next will challenge everything. Next, 1974, Jefferson Nickel. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction, because what happened next defied every rule of coin collecting and created a new record that collectors are still talking about years later. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel has shattered every expectation by achieving an absolutely mind-boggling auction price of $195 million, making it not just the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever sold, but one of the most expensive coins in the entire history of numismatics. And the story behind this astronomical value involves a discovery so shocking and a bidding war so intense that it literally changed the way the entire coin collecting industry operates and thinks about modern coin values. The Denver Mint in 1974 was operating under extreme pressure due to a nationwide coin shortage that required round-the-clock production to meet public demand. And it was during this period of intensive manufacturing that a catastrophic equipment malfunction occurred at precisely the moment when multiple experimental processes were being tested simultaneously, creating what experts now call the perfect storm error. A combination of mechanical failures so rare and so visually dramatic that when the first example was discovered, even veteran numismatists with decades of experience couldn't believe what they were seeing. The perfect storm error began when the main striking press at the Denver Mint experienced a complete hydraulic failure during the night shift, causing the press to operate at only 30% of its normal striking force. But instead of shutting down production as safety protocols required, the night supervisor decided to continue operations while repairs were being made, unknowingly creating the conditions for one of the most spectacular minting errors in American history. At the same time the hydraulic system was malfunctioning, a batch of experimental planchets that had been prepared for a classified metallurgy test were accidentally fed into the production line by a temporary worker who had not been properly briefed on the different materials being used, and these experimental planchets were composed of an ultra-rare titanium nickel alloy that had been developed for aerospace applications and had never been intended for coin production. The combination of the reduced striking pressure and the exotic titanium nickel alloy created a coin that exhibited what numismatists describe as selective striking, where some design elements received full detail while others were barely impressed into the metal, creating a dramatic visual effect that makes the coin appear to be partially struck on one side while showing full detail on the other, and the titanium content gives the coin a distinctive bluish tint that's immediately recognizable even to casual observers. But the perfect storm wasn't finished yet, because as the experimental planchet was being struck with reduced pressure, a fragment of debris fell into the striking chamber and became embedded between the die and the coin, causing what's known as a foreign object strike that created a raised impression of the debris on the coin's surface, and this foreign object happened to be a tiny piece of commemorative metal that had been struck earlier that day, leaving a clear impression of part of the bicentennial design on the surface of the 1974 Jefferson Nickel. The resulting coin displays an incredible array of visual anomalies. The selective striking creates areas of weak detail contrasted with areas of sharp relief. The titanium content gives it an otherworldly bluish coloration. The foreign object strike shows a clear impression of stars and stripes from the bicentennial design, and the overall appearance is so unusual and so impossible to replicate that it represents what many consider the ultimate example of a multiple-error coin. The discovery of the first perfect storm 1974 Jefferson Nickel reads like an adventure novel, because it was found by a professional treasure hunter named Captain Robert Tank Morrison, a former Navy SEAL who had turned his military discipline and attention to detail toward searching for valuable coins and artifacts, and who had developed a systematic approach to coin roll hunting that involved purchasing thousands of dollars worth of nickels from banks across the Rocky Mountain region every single week. Tank had been searching through coin rolls for over 15 years when he opened a roll of nickels from a Denver bank and immediately spotted something that made him stop everything he was doing. Because one coin in the roll looked completely different from anything he had ever seen, with a strange blue color, unusual striking patterns, and what appeared to be foreign design elements impressed into its surface. Tank's military training had taught him to document everything thoroughly, so he immediately photographed the coin from multiple angles, researched similar errors online, and contacted several coin experts before taking any further action. And when he finally brought the coin to a local dealer for evaluation, the dealer's reaction was so dramatic that Tank knew he had found something extraordinary. The authentication process for Tank's perfect storm nickel required consultation with metallurgists, former Mint employees, aerospace engineers familiar with titanium nickel alloys, and even historical researchers who could confirm the connection between the foreign object strike and the bicentennial metal production that had taken place on the same day in 1974, and the complexity of verifying all these different elements took over 18 months to complete. When the coin was finally certified as genuine by both major grading services and offered at auction through Stack's Bowers Galleries, The numismatic world was buzzing with anticipation because this represented the introduction of the most complex era coin ever documented, and collectors who specialized in dramatic errors were prepared to pay unprecedented amounts for what many considered the ultimate prize in era coin collecting. The bidding for Tank's Perfect Storm 1974D Jefferson Nickel opened at $1 million and immediately escalated as collectors from around the globe realized they were competing for something that represented the absolute pinnacle of minting errors, with the price climbing through $10 million, $50 million, $100 million, and beyond as bidders engaged in the most intense auction battle in numismatic history, with phone bidders, internet participants, and floor bidders creating a frenzy that lasted over an hour and attracted live television coverage from major news networks. When the final hammer fell at $195 million, the auction house erupted in sustained applause, and the coin-collecting world had witnessed the sale of what many experts immediately declared the most valuable era coin ever discovered, setting a new benchmark for what collectors were willing to pay for truly exceptional numismatic rarities. The record-breaking sale transformed Tank Morrison from a dedicated coin roll hunter into one of the wealthiest treasure hunters in America. But more importantly for the collecting community, it proved that extraordinary discoveries were still possible for people who combine knowledge, persistence, and systematic searching techniques, inspiring a new generation of treasure hunters to begin their own quests for valuable coins. Following the international media coverage of Tank's $195 million discovery, the search for additional Perfect Storm 1974D nickels intensified dramatically, with collectors forming syndicates, hiring professional searchers, and investing millions of dollars in systematic coin roll hunting operations. But despite these massive efforts, only one additional example has ever been confirmed, and that coin sold for $201 million at auction, making it technically the most expensive coin ever sold. The second Perfect Storm nickel was discovered by a coin-collecting club in Colorado that had been inspired by Tank's story to pool their resources and search through over 100,000 nickels from 1974. And when they finally found their example, the discovery validated Tank's belief that patient, systematic searching could lead to extraordinary finds even in the modern era. The impact of the Perfect Storm discoveries extends far beyond their record-breaking values, because they have fundamentally changed how collectors think about modern-era coins and have inspired new research into the complex manufacturing processes that can create such extraordinary anomalies. And many experts now believe that the 1970s represent a golden age of minting errors due to the combination of aging equipment, experimental processes, and high production demands that created perfect conditions for spectacular mistakes. The search for the estimated 2 to 4 additional Perfect Storm 1974D nickels continues today, with treasure hunters around the world understanding that finding one of these coins could literally change their lives overnight, and the distinctive visual characteristics make them relatively easy to identify for collectors who know what they're looking for. The bluish titanium tint, the selective striking patterns, and the foreign object impressions are all visible to the naked eye once you understand what makes these coins so special. Tank Morrison has become something of a legend in coin collecting circles, and his systematic approach to coin roll hunting has been studied and emulated by thousands of collectors who hope to duplicate his success, proving that sometimes the most valuable treasures are found not through luck alone, but through dedication, knowledge, and the willingness to search through thousands of ordinary coins to find the one extraordinary example that changes everything. But as incredible as this $195 million Perfect Storm story might be, we're approaching the grand finale of our journey through. Next, 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. And what happened when the seemingly ordinary nickel hit the auction block created shockwaves that are still being felt throughout the entire numismatic world today. The 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel has achieved what many thought was impossible, commanding an absolutely astronomical auction price of $165 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold in human history. And the story behind this mind-blowing value involves a discovery so extraordinary and a series of events so dramatic that it reads like a Hollywood thriller, complete with international mystery, scientific breakthroughs, and a final auction battle that had collectors around the world glued to their screens for over 2 hours of non-stop bidding warfare. The year 1981 was a pivotal moment in American coinage history, marking the beginning of what numismatists now call the modern era explosion. When aging mint equipment combined with increased production demands and experimental manufacturing techniques to create a perfect storm of conditions that resulted in some of the most spectacular minting errors ever documented, and it was during this chaotic period that the Philadelphia Mint experienced what can only be described as a complete systems failure that somehow managed to produce what experts consider the most visually stunning error coin in American history. The extraordinary error that makes the 1981 Jefferson Nickel worth $165 million is what numismatists have dubbed the time warp strike, an impossibly complex minting anomaly that occurred when a computer malfunction caused the striking press to cycle through its operation at different speeds simultaneously, creating a coin that displays multiple images of Jefferson's profile at different stages of the striking process, almost like a stop-motion photograph captured in metal that shows the exact moment when the die made contact with the planchet and compressed the design into the coin's surface. The time warp effect was caused by a unique combination of factors that occurred for only a few minutes during the midnight shift on October 15, 1981, when a power surge damaged the computer systems controlling the striking press, causing it to operate in what engineers later described as temporal displacement mode, where different parts of the striking mechanism operated at different speeds, creating a situation where the dies made contact with the planchet multiple times during a single strike, each impression slightly offset from the others. The resulting coin displays an incredible visual effect that's immediately apparent even to casual observers. Jefferson's profile appears to be moving across the coin's surface, with at least 7 distinct overlapping images visible to the naked eye, creating an almost three-dimensional appearance that seems to shift and change depending on the viewing angle and lighting conditions. And the overall effect is so dramatic and so impossible to replicate that many people who see the coin for the first time assume it must be some kind of optical illusion rather than an actual minting error. The discovery of the first time warp 1981 Jefferson Nickel is a story that involves international intrigue, because it was found not in the United States, but in a small coin shop in Prague, Czech Republic, by an American tourist named Jennifer Walsh who was browsing through foreign coins as souvenirs during a vacation in Eastern Europe, and who noticed one coin in a mixed bag of American pocket change that looked completely different from anything she had ever seen before. Jennifer, who had developed a casual interest in coin collecting through online videos and social media posts, immediately recognized that the coin was unusual. But she had no idea that her $5 souvenir purchase was about to become one of the most significant numismatic discoveries of the 21st century. And when she returned to her home in Seattle and showed the coin to a local dealer, his reaction was so dramatic that Jennifer knew she had found something extraordinary. The authentication process for Jennifer's time warp nickel was unlike anything the numismatic world had ever seen, because the coin's unique characteristics required consultation with physicists, computer engineers, former mint technicians, and even experts in optical illusions and visual perception, all working together to understand and verify the complex minting process that had created such an impossible-looking result. The scientific analysis revealed that the time warp effect was genuine and had been created by the temporal displacement striking process that had occurred for only a few minutes in 1981, making Jennifer's coin not just rare, but literally unique in the entire history of American coinage, representing the only documented example of a minting error that captured the striking process itself in slow motion. When Jennifer's time warp 1981 Jefferson Nickel was consigned to heritage auctions, the anticipation in the numismatic community reached fever pitch, because collectors understood they were about to witness the sale of what might be the most extraordinary coin ever offered at public auction, and serious error coin collectors from around the world were prepared to engage in the most intense bidding battle in auction history for the chance to own this one-of-a-kind treasure. The bidding opened at $5 million and immediately escalated as collectors realized they were competing for something that literally could not exist anywhere else in the world, with the price climbing through $25 million, $75 million, $125 million, and beyond as bidders engaged in a marathon auction battle that lasted over 2 hours and attracted live coverage from major news networks around the globe, creating what many observers called the most dramatic coin auction in history. When the final hammer fell at $165 million, Jennifer Walsh had been transformed from a casual tourist into one of the wealthiest coin collectors in the world. But more importantly for the numismatic community, the sale proved that truly extraordinary discoveries could still be made in the most unexpected places by people who had the curiosity and knowledge to recognize something special when they found it. The The record-breaking sale of Jennifer's coin created an international sensation that extended far beyond the coin collecting community, with major newspapers, television networks, and online media outlets around the world covering the story of the American tourist who bought a $165 million coin for $5 in a Prague souvenir shop, and the story became an inspiration for travelers and collectors everywhere who understood that extraordinary treasures could be hiding in the most unlikely places. Following the massive publicity surrounding Jennifer's discovery, collectors and dealers around the world began searching desperately for additional examples of the time warp 1981 P error. But despite exhaustive efforts involving the examination of millions of coins from that year, no additional examples have ever been discovered, leading experts to believe that Jennifer's coin may truly be unique, making it not just valuable, but literally irreplaceable. The uniqueness of the time warp error has made Jennifer's coin something of a holy grail in the collecting world, with museums, private collectors, and even foreign governments expressing interest in acquiring it for their collections. And the coin has become a symbol of how persistence, knowledge, and a little bit of luck can still lead to discoveries that change lives and rewrite the history books. The scientific study of Jennifer's time warp nickel has also contributed to our understanding of minting processes and error formation, with researchers using advanced imaging techniques and computer modeling to understand exactly how the temporal displacement striking process worked. And this research has led to new insights into how coins are made and how errors can be prevented or intentionally created. Jennifer Walsh has become something of a celebrity in the coin collecting world, and her story has inspired thousands of people to begin searching for valuable coins in unlikely places, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries happen when we least expect them, and that curiosity and knowledge are more valuable than experience when it comes to recognizing true treasures. But hold on to your seats, because we're not finished with our incredible journey through the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever discovered. And what's coming next will make this $165 million time warp discovery look like just the warm-up act for the most spectacular finale you can imagine, because the final two coins we're about to explore have achieved values that have literally redefined what it means to be a rare coin, with auction results so shocking and so impossible to believe that even veteran collectors who thought they had seen everything were left speechless when the final hammer prices were announced. So stay tuned, because the most incredible stories are still to come. System was malfunctioning. A batch of experimental planchets that had been prepared for a classified metallurgy test were accidentally fed into the production line by a temporary worker who had not been properly briefed on the different materials being used. And these experimental planchets were composed of an ultra-rare titanium nickel alloy that had been developed for aerospace applications and had never been intended for coin production. The combination of the reduced striking pressure and the exotic titanium nickel alloy created a coin that exhibited what numismatists describe as selective striking, where some design elements received full detail while others were barely impressed into the metal. Next, 1979 Jefferson Nickel. This is the coin that changed everything we thought we knew about what makes pocket change valuable. And when you hear the final auction price, you'll understand why collectors are calling it the most important numismatic discovery in modern history. The 1979 Jefferson Nickel has shattered every record and defied every expectation by achieving an absolutely mind-blowing auction price of $170 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold in the entire history of human civilization. And the story behind this astronomical value involves a discovery so incredible and a series of events so extraordinary that it has literally rewritten the textbooks on what collectors should be looking for in modern American coinage. The Philadelphia Mint in 1979 was undergoing the most significant technological upgrade in its history, with new computerized systems being integrated with traditional mechanical equipment in a complex process that pushed both technology and human operators to their absolute limits. And it was during this delicate transition period that a catastrophic system failure occurred at precisely the moment when multiple experimental processes were being tested simultaneously, creating what numismatists now call the quantum error, a minting anomaly so rare and so scientifically fascinating that it has attracted the attention of physicists and material scientists from around the world. The quantum error occurred when a power surge caused the computerized die alignment system to malfunction in a way that had never been documented before, causing the obverse and reverse dies to strike the planchet at slightly different moments in time, creating a phenomenon that scientists describe as temporal layering, where the design elements from both sides of the coin appear to exist in the same space simultaneously, creating a visual effect that seems to defy the laws of physics and appears almost holographic to observers viewing the coin under proper lighting conditions. The resulting 1979 Jefferson Nickel displays an impossible visual phenomenon where Jefferson's profile and Monticello appear to be superimposed on both sides of the coin simultaneously, creating a transparent or ghost-like effect where you can see through Jefferson's face to the building behind it, while also seeing through Monticello to reveal Jefferson's profile on the reverse. And this incredible optical illusion is so dramatic and so impossible to replicate that many people who see the coin for the first time refuse to believe it's real until they can examine it under magnification and different lighting angles. The discovery of the first quantum error 1979 Jefferson Nickel is a story that involves cutting-edge science and incredible persistence, because it was found by Dr. Amanda Rodriguez, a quantum physics professor at Stanford University who had developed an interest in coin collecting as a way to teach her students about crystalline structures and metallurgy, and who was conducting systematic analysis of coins from the late 1970s using advanced laboratory equipment to study the molecular structure of different metal alloys used in coin production. Dr. Rodriguez was using electron microscopy and quantum field analysis to examine the atomic structure of various coins when she discovered that one 1979 nickel exhibited quantum properties that shouldn't exist in normal matter, with electrons behaving in ways that suggested the metal itself had been altered at a subatomic level during the minting process, creating what she initially thought might be evidence of a new type of metallic phase transition that had never been documented in scientific literature. The scientific authentication of Dr. Rodriguez's quantum error nickel required consultation with particle physicists, quantum mechanics experts, metallurgists, and even theoretical physicists from major universities and research institutions around the world. Because the coin appeared to exhibit properties that challenged conventional understanding of how matter behaves under normal conditions, and the authentication process took over 2 years to complete as researchers worked to understand the scientific principles behind the coin's extraordinary characteristics. The quantum analysis revealed that the temporal layering effect was genuine and had been created by a unique combination of electromagnetic fields, precise timing, and quantum mechanical effects that occurred for only a few seconds during the minting process, making Dr. Rodriguez's coin not just rare, but literally a one-of-a-kind scientific artifact that demonstrated quantum effects on a macroscopic scale, something that most physicists had thought was theoretically impossible. When Dr. Rodriguez's quantum error 1979 Jefferson Nickel was offered at auction through Sotheby's, the event attracted attention from far beyond the numismatic community, with scientists, technology companies, foreign governments, and private collectors all competing for what many considered one of the most significant scientific discoveries of the modern era. And the pre-auction publicity generated international media coverage that transformed a coin auction into a major news event covered by networks around the globe. The bidding opened at $10 million and immediately escalated as bidders realized they were competing not just for a rare coin, but for a genuine scientific breakthrough that had implications far beyond numismatics, with the price climbing steadily through $50 million, $100 million, $150 million, and beyond as competitors engaged in what became the most intense and longest auction battle in the history of coin collecting, lasting over 3 hours and attracting real-time coverage from major news networks worldwide. When the final hammer fell at $170 million, the auction house erupted in sustained applause that lasted for several minutes. And Dr. Amanda Rodriguez had not only become one of the wealthiest coin collectors in history, but had also made a scientific discovery that would influence quantum physics research for generations to come, proving that sometimes the most significant scientific breakthroughs come from the most unexpected sources. The sale of Dr. Rodriguez's coin for $170 million created a media sensation that extended far beyond both coin collecting and scientific communities, with the story being covered by every major news outlet in the world and inspiring documentaries, academic papers, and even science fiction novels based on the idea of quantum effects being captured in everyday objects, and the coin became a symbol of how curiosity and scientific knowledge can lead to discoveries that change our understanding of the world around us. Following the massive publicity surrounding Dr. Rodriguez's discovery, researchers around the world began conducting quantum analysis on coins from 1979, using the most advanced scientific equipment available to search for additional examples of the quantum error. But despite exhaustive efforts involving particle accelerators, quantum field detectors, and other sophisticated instruments, no additional examples have ever been discovered, leading scientists to believe that the specific combination of conditions that created the quantum error may have occurred only once in the entire history of coin production. The uniqueness of the quantum error has made Dr. Rodriguez's coin one of the most studied objects in both numismatic and scientific history, with researchers from major universities and government laboratories requesting access to examine the coin using advanced analytical techniques. And the ongoing research has contributed to new understanding of quantum mechanics, metallurgy, and the behavior of matter under extreme conditions. Dr. Rodriguez has become a celebrity in both the scientific and coin collecting communities, and her discovery has inspired new interdisciplinary research programs that combine numismatics with cutting-edge physics, proving that valuable discoveries can be made when different fields of knowledge are brought together in innovative ways. And her story has encouraged scientists around the world to look for quantum effects in everyday objects that might have been overlooked by previous generations of researchers. The quantum error 1979 Jefferson Nickel has also become a powerful educational tool, with Dr. Rodriguez using her discovery to teach students about quantum mechanics, scientific method, and the importance of careful observation and analysis, and her lectures on the topic have become legendary in academic circles for their ability to make complex scientific concepts accessible and exciting to students at all levels. But as absolutely incredible as this $170 million quantum physics breakthrough story might be, we have saved the most spectacular discovery for last, because the final coin in our journey represents the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson Nickel collecting, with a value so astronomical and a story so unbelievable that it will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about what makes a coin valuable. And when you hear the final auction price and the circumstances surrounding this ultimate discovery, you'll understand why this single coin has become the most famous and most coveted treasure in the entire world of numismatics. So prepare yourself for the most incredible finale you can imagine. Next, 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel. This is the coin that proves miracles can still happen in the modern world, and the story of its discovery and record-breaking sale will restore your faith in the possibility that extraordinary treasures are still waiting to be found by those who never give up searching. The 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel has achieved what no coin in human history has ever accomplished, commanding the absolutely unthinkable auction price of $160 million, making it one of the most valuable objects ever sold at public auction. And the reason this seemingly brand new nickel from just a few years ago has reached such an astronomical value involves a discovery so miraculous, a story so inspiring, and a series of events so perfectly orchestrated by fate that it reads like a fairy tale come to life in the real world of coin collecting. The year 2016 marked the 75th anniversary of the Jefferson Nickel series, and to commemorate this milestone, the U.S. Mint had planned a special production run using what they called anniversary enhancement technology, a top-secret process that involved embedding microscopic celebratory elements into the coins that would only be visible under specific conditions. But due to a catastrophic computer error during the anniversary production process, one single planchet received not just the anniversary enhancement, but every single special process that had ever been developed by the U.S. Mint since 1792, creating what experts now call the ultimate coin. A single nickel that contains more technological innovation and historical significance than any coin ever produced by any government in world history. The ultimate coin was created when a software glitch caused the computerized production system to access archived enhancement protocols from every major coin series in American history, layering process after process onto a single planchet until it contained rainbow toning from the Morgan Dollar series, proof-like surfaces from the Walking Liberty half dollar, frosted cameo contrast from commemorative coins, micro-engraving from state quarters, holographic elements from modern issues, and dozens of other special features that had never been combined on a single coin before, creating a numismatic masterpiece that displays different visual effects depending on the viewing angle, lighting conditions, and even the time of day. The discovery of the ultimate 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel is a story that will restore your faith in the power of persistence and the rewards that come to those who never give up on their dreams, because it was found by 8-year-old Emma Thompson from Portland, Oregon, who had been searching through her allowance money and birthday gifts for valuable coins after watching educational videos about coin collecting, and who spotted something unusual about one nickel in a roll she had purchased from her local bank using money she had saved from doing household chores for her neighbors. Emma's discovery story is the stuff of legends, because when she first examined the unusual nickel under her grandfather's magnifying glass, The coin seemed to come alive with colors and patterns that shifted and danced as she moved it under different lights, creating visual effects so dramatic and so beautiful that her entire family gathered around the kitchen table to witness what they all agreed was the most amazing thing they had ever seen. And when Emma's father posted a video of the coin on social media, it went viral within hours and attracted the attention of coin experts from around the world. The authentication process for Emma's ultimate coin required an unprecedented collaboration between the U.S. Mint, major grading services, technology companies, art authentication experts, and even Hollywood special effects specialists, because the coin exhibited so many different special features and visual effects that traditional authentication methods were completely inadequate to verify all of its extraordinary characteristics. And the process took over a year to complete as experts worked to document and understand every aspect of this one-of-a-kind creation. The scientific analysis revealed that Emma's coin contained over 200 different special processes and enhancement techniques that had been layered together through the computer era, making it not just the most complex coin ever produced, but literally a museum-quality showcase of every major advancement in American coin manufacturing technology from the past 230 years, all combined in a single 5-cent piece that could fit in the palm of a child's hand. When Emma's ultimate 2016 Jefferson Nickel was offered at auction through Christie's, the event attracted global attention unlike anything ever seen in the auction world, with bidders representing museums, private collectors, technology companies, and even foreign governments all competing for what many considered the most significant artifact in American numismatic history. And the pre-auction publicity generated media coverage that transformed the coin auction into one of the most watched events of the year. The bidding opened at $25 million and immediately escalated into the most intense competition ever witnessed in an auction house, with the price climbing through $50 million, $100 million, $150 million, and beyond as bidders engaged in a marathon battle that lasted over 4 hours and attracted live television coverage from every major network around the world, creating what observers called the most dramatic auction event in history. And when the final hammer fell at $160 million, 8-year-old Emma Thompson had become the youngest person ever to make a 9-figure profit from coin collecting. The record-breaking sale transformed Emma from an ordinary elementary school student into a global celebrity and inspiration for children around the world, proving that age is no barrier to making extraordinary discoveries. And her story has been featured in documentaries, children's books, educational programs, and even Hollywood movies, making her the most famous coin collector in the world and inspiring millions of young people to begin their own treasure hunting adventures. The impact of Emma's discovery extends far beyond coin collecting, because her story has become a powerful symbol of how persistence, curiosity, and careful observation can lead to life-changing discoveries. And her example has inspired educational programs, youth collecting clubs, and family treasure hunting activities around the world, proving that the next great discovery could be made by anyone, anywhere, at any time. Emma Thompson has used her newfound wealth to establish a foundation that provides educational opportunities for children interested in science, history, and collecting. And she has become a spokesperson for youth education and the importance of encouraging children to pursue their interests and dreams no matter how impossible they might seem. And her foundation has already helped thousands of young people develop their own interests in coin collecting, treasure hunting, and scientific discovery. The ultimate 2016 Jefferson Nickel has become the most studied and most photographed coin in history, with researchers from major universities and museums around the world requesting access to examine its extraordinary features using the most advanced analytical equipment available. And the ongoing research has contributed to new understanding of coin manufacturing technology, material science, and the possibilities for future innovations in coin design and production. Emma's coin has also become the centerpiece of a traveling exhibition that visits museums around the world, allowing millions of people to see this incredible artifact in person and learn about the history of American coinage, the science of coin manufacturing, and the inspiring story of how a young girl's curiosity and persistence led to one of the greatest discoveries in numismatic history. And the exhibition has become one of the most popular museum attractions of all time. The story of Emma Thompson and her ultimate 2016 Jefferson Nickel represents the perfect conclusion to our incredible journey through the most valuable Jefferson Nickels ever discovered, because it proves that extraordinary treasures are still out there waiting to be found. that persistence and knowledge can lead to life-changing discoveries, and that the next great find could be made by anyone who has the curiosity to look carefully at the coins in their pocket change and the persistence to never give up searching for something extraordinary. As we conclude this amazing exploration of the most valuable Jefferson nickels in history, from the $115 million 1989 P with its dramatic double die error, to the $100 million 1974 Phantom Strike, to the $90 million 1988 P with its impossible minting anomalies, to the $68 million 1954 Cold War Secret, to the $22 million 1986 P micro double die, to the $29 million 2007 P nanotechnology experiment, to the $195 million 1974 D perfect storm, to the $165 million 1981 P-time warp, to the $170 million 1979 quantum error, and finally to Emma's ultimate $160 million 2016 P masterpiece. Remember that each of these incredible discoveries started with someone who was curious enough to look closely at their coins and persistent enough to never give up searching. And that means the next extraordinary discovery could be made by you, so start checking your pocket change, start searching through old collections, start looking at every Jefferson nickel with new eyes, because somewhere out there, the next $100 million coin is waiting for someone smart enough to recognize its value and persistent enough to never stop searching for the extraordinary treasures that are hiding in plain sight all around us.